As I said in my Toyota Corolla Cross review just over a year, was it a year ago? I think it was a year ago now. I keep picturing the scene in the boardroom at Toyota HQ where some brilliant guy or girl said, hey, you know what we should do? We should make an SUV, a small one, call it the Corolla something, and we could probably sell a ton of them. And the head smacking and the forehead smashing that must have gone on after that, you know, to the tune that of, why didn't we think of this in 2003? We could have sold 150 million of these at this point. But, you know, better late than never, as they always say. But it would have been the subsequent conversation where someone else would have then said, well, you know what we got to do with the Corolla Cross, right? We got to make it, we have to offer it as a hybrid version. And then even more like head smacking, and, you know, people in that boardroom must have gone absolutely crazy. And with reason. I mean, the Toyota Corolla Cross is actually a really, really brilliant compact SUV. And I swear, this is what it looks like to me, is that as I drive around every day in whatever press car I have or wherever I'm going, I see more and more Corolla Cross. The funny thing is that unless you know you're looking at a Corolla Cross, you're going to mistake it for a RAV4 or a lot of other small SUVs from the Toyota brand. Even if CHR kind of has some stuff going on that, you know, obviously it's the same brand, so they all have signature styling points. But the thing is that, see, this week I'm driving around in a Corolla Cross Hybrid, the SE, which is the base model. I'm actually kind of excited about that. And it's a strange thing where I think this might be the first time where I'm not completely enamored with a Toyota hybrid product. I'm surprised, actually, because I've put a fair amount of mileage on it, and there are things about the drive that I'm not crazy about. It's a kind of noisy. I'll tell you more about that in a few moments, but that might just be me being a lot more difficult than I probably should be with the Corolla Cross Hybrid, because I was really expecting it to be beyond exceptional, because just a regular petrol version I thought was probably one of the smartest compact SUVs money can buy. It still is, mind you, absolutely still is. And even as a hybrid, it's still a brilliant little SUV. So what we're gonna do in the following video, as we always do the walk around and then take it for a little drive. And I want to point out a few things that I thought I would really like, especially by the fact that this is an SE and not the XSE. Yeah, that's it. So please hang in there, and let's do this. Okay, so the Corolla Cross, we'll just jump right into pricing because it's just easier that way. In the US starts, and this is for the hybrid very specifically, starts at $27,970 for the S, and the top trim XSE is $31,065. In Canada, we have two trims as opposed to three, because there's also an SE in the US. The SE all-wheel drive is $34,240 for 2023. 2024 pricing is already available. But as I said, this is the base SE. And then there's the XSE, which adds just a few other doohickeys, and it's $37,010 base. So what you get in the base SE in Canada, 8-inch display, 17-inch wheels, wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, heated front seats and steering wheel. So the base level of equipment is still pretty damn good. I mean, if you want to step up to the XSE, you get 18-inch wheels, which could pose a problem. I'll tell you about that in a few moments. You get a panoramic sunroof, power front seats, JBL audio. Oh no sunroof, my bad. JBL audio and a power hatch, which are a few nice features, but I guess for, you know, almost $3,000 could be worthwhile. I mean, at this price, at $37,000, it's not that bad for the amount of efficiency you get in this vehicle. I'll also touch on that in a few moments. I mean, styling wise, as I said, I mean, it's just inoffensive Toyota. I mean, there's, you know, I don't know. It's not attractive, but it's not unattractive. I guess is the best way to put it. I still find that the protrusion up front, that is a little bit excessive. It was, I think it's slightly unnecessary. But look, it looks like a Corolla Cross, and it is a Corolla Cross, and that's pretty much all there is to say. If we step aboard, we are looking at 609 liters of boot space, which is actually quite decent fairly decent. There is a little bit of storage under here, not much to be honest, but it can be functional or operate as required. The back seat is, well, the current Corolla generation, well, all the compact cars are no longer compact, I mean, other than in name. So the rear bench is very spacious. There's a generous amount of legroom, and this is a different baby seat. You know, things happen, things change. Never mind. The seating is not too bad. It's very upright. But this is a common Toyota problem. Look, and yeah, I kind of skipped over. You know, it's functional over anything else. It's just very Toyota. It's robust. It should last, and as long as you don't punch it, of course. Front seats in the XSE, SE, so cloth. I was actually kind of happy about that, especially because they're heated. But there's a horrible lack of lower lumbar support in this thing. It's such a Toyota thing about their base seats without lumbar support. But otherwise, I mean, the bolsters are actually really, really thick, and it's a nice seat. Can't complain. So if we step aboard, start it up. There's your 4.2-inch display. Your touchscreen display right there. So heated steering wheel, as I noted. I mean, I love these buttons, are so accessible. I guess while I'm here, I can do that. So drive modes, and I'll tell you more about that in a few seconds too. But the bottom one right there, that one, that's the best way to go about driving this vehicle. I love the gauges. I love simplicity, and that's what I like about this thing. Decent storage, kind of decent storage. One of the things I really like about the vehicle is visibility. It's just absolutely excellent. I mean, screen does kind of pop out, but from my seating position, see, like the upper part is a little bit below the low end of the windshield, so it doesn't protrude per se. And then when you come around here, look at that. I love that. And very thin A-pillars. It's so functional. As far as that's concerned, it's perfect. But the drive, anyway, here we go. Let's do that. Yeah, so about the drive, the Corolla Cross that I drove a little over a year ago, or about a year ago, I thought was fine. You know, for all intents and purposes, it's a Corolla on stilts-ish, and the ride quality is okay. The handling is, you know, well, actually much better than most people think than what you would get in a Corolla, because Corolla is a Corolla. So I went on that premise, getting into this hybrid, with one difference, two in fact differences, that if we focus on that, it's a 2-liter engine, naturally aspirated, like the regular petrol-powered Corolla Cross. The difference being with the electric motor and all of that, well, the output goes from 169 to 196, but that extra 27 horsepower, I can't math, I mean, kind of helps compensate for the extra 225, 240 pounds that the Corolla Cross Hybrid weighs over the petrol-powered version. But even so, as far as performance is concerned, it's okay. I mean, you have the drive modes, and, you know, I'm usually happy in Eco, and it just happens to work out very well that way. So, I mean, it's not a rocket, far from. It's still a Corolla Cross, and it's a hybrid. So I was expecting maybe a little bit more punch, but there is no extra punch. The other thing, fuel efficiency. Now, if memory serves, I mean, Natural Resources Canada and Toyota rate this a Corolla Cross Hybrid at 5.6 liters per 100 kilometers in combined driving. I'm averaging about 6.4, which, for all intents and purposes, and being who I am and the way I usually drive, that's actually not that bad. And ECVT, again, like I said, eco drive mode, and it's the best way to kind of, I mean, I've said this a bunch of times, but if this is the first time you're watching a video on Motor Illustrated, well, thank you very much. But with the eco drive mode, because of the dulled throttle response, the transmission has less of an urgency to pin engine speeds in order to accelerate. So it's kind of a slower buildup, so it's a lot more tolerable, and there's still plenty of power to get around. All right, so that's that. The thing that has disappointed me the most, maybe because it's an SE and I was hoping for more like LE, all-wheel drive hybrid ride quality, is the lack of ride quality. And this has 17-inch wheels, whereas the XSE has 18-inch wheels. So what I'm talking about is I can feel almost every irregularity in the road through the chassis and onto the steering. It's not crashy, but there's a serious lack of initial dampening that I was hoping and expecting in this Corolla Cross. And I can only imagine with the XSE that's even worse with the smaller sidewalls. But having said that, I mean, the brakes, you know, typical Toyota pedal, it's kind of spongy, but you adapt to it quickly enough. Steering is connected to things in the front. But I mean, all in all, other than the I want to say less than ideal, maybe even nowhere near as comfortable as it should be, ride quality, it's still a Corolla Cross. It's still a hybrid. It's still really good on fuel. It's still spacious. It's just mundane looking enough to please most Corolla buyers who are thinking of going to a RAV4. And price-wise, it's actually fairly decent value. The value proposition is really not that bad. I mean, what's the competition to this thing? There's a number. I mean, including the Escape hybrid, not the plug-in hybrid, because the plug-in hybrid is only available front-wheel drive. And there are a few other alternatives, but in this segment, at this price point, this is probably your best bet. And also, you know, the Toyota badge and a Corolla name should ensure, you know, long-term reliability, decent resale value should, you know, the world get back to some kind of normal car business at the very least. So yeah, that's about it. It's still great, but I want a little more comfort. Maybe Toyota next year, LE hybrid, all-wheel drive, a little bit more comfort for an old man like me.